This is Dom Bettinelli, CEO of StarQuest. I need to ask for your help, but first I want to thank you for listening to StarQuest and supporting our mission of exploring the intersection of faith and pop culture. We've added 9 new shows since 2019, including, most recently, The Secrets of Middle-earth, just in time for the new Amazon streaming series. And we have plans to add even more, but the network needs additional resources. We need to bring on more audio editors, video editors, and production equipment, including video equipment for Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World and new shows we have in the planning stages. If you value this show and the other great shows on StarQuest, we need to hear from you now. If you're not yet one of our monthly patrons, please become one. And if you're already a patron, please consider increasing your monthly donation. There are many special patron benefits we'd like to give you, and you can learn more about them by going to sqpn.com/give and clicking Become a Patron. Your support at this time is crucial, so please go to sqpn.com/give today. That's sqpn.com/give.
Lieutenant West, Jackson has identified the 7th symbol.
All right, here we go. We are about to try to make a connection.
All we gotta do is bust out of here, commandeer the ship, and fly on home.
Indeed. You say that a lot.
I know that this could be dangerous. But this is our job, right? It's what we signed on to do.
It was never about going home. It's about getting us to where we're going.
Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lambs. Hey, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
Today we are discussing the 4th episode of Season 5, Divide and Conquer. You want to give us a rundown of this episode, Victor?
Indeed I do. There's trouble on Vorash as negotiations for the upcoming treaty between the Tok'ra and the Tauri erupt in violence when Major Graham, a member of the SGC, pulls out a hand laser and starts shooting up the place before blowing himself up. The Tok'ra Freya / Anise believes that Major Graham may have been a Zaytark, someone programmed by the Goa'uld to erupt in violence whenever a certain trigger event occurs. The bad news is that anyone can be a Zaytark, as the Goa'uld only need a few minutes alone with someone to program them. Fortunately, Freya has developed a Zaytark detector, which she and Tok'ra fan favorite Martouf bring back to the SGC. The detector probes its subject's mind for any memories that may be out of sequence, suggesting that they may have been programmed by the Goa'uld. Freya is able to find one Zaytark, Lieutenant Aster, but when Freya flips the device over to remove Zaytark programming / lobotomize Aster mode, Aster erupts in violence and shoots herself. That's pretty bad, but things get even worse for everyone, except Lieutenant Aster, of course, when Jack and Sam have their minds probed and the device detects that they are both Zaytarks too. This doesn't seem to bother Freya too much, though, and she makes a clumsy pass at Jack, which Jack clumsily rebuffs. As the hours tick down before the U.S. president meets with the leader of the Tok'ra and the assumed Zaytarks are triggered, Sam and Jack realize that they are not Zaytark. The machine just thought they were because they have unspoken feelings for each other. It turns out, though, that Tok'ra fan favorite Martouf is a Zaytark, and as the president, who turns out just to be a body double of the president anyway, so why did they even bother, enters the gate room, Martouf erupts into violence and is shot in the chest a dozen times with bullets, and then Sam finally doubles at him and he dies. And there are no more Zaytarks, the end.
Pretty much sums it up. Or as I like to call it, the Tok'ra are actually evil, part 3.
I mean, they built the Zaytark detector.
Yeah, I mean, this is less evil, not quite so evil.
Speaking of the Zaytark detector, I did want to let everyone know that if they want to learn more about how lie detectors actually work, they can go listen to the Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World episode number 130, where they talk all about how lie detectors work, or more accurately, how they don't work.
Yeah.
And they don't all look like something you'd find in the VIP room at a Planet Fitness either.
I was thinking of the replicant test from Blade Runner.
Oh, yeah.
It's very similar. It's got the whole eye scanning thing.
But it's got that purple blobby feel that if you have ever used the weight machines at Planet Fitness, you'll...
As you can tell from my physique, I definitely go to the gym, so...
Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts on this episode, Father?
Well, of the 3 Tok'ra episodes, this is probably the best, but even that's kind of stretching it. It's clear that they were meant to be, 3 episodes, like a 3-parter. But I don't know. I guess the best part is we get the scene of Freya hitting on Jack. I don't know. And, the look of the airman that's standing guard, like, you didn't take her up on that?
Yeah, it's just, and of course that goes nowhere. So,
yep.
What about you, Lisa?
Y'all know what I'm going to say. That this is a quintessential Sam Jack ship episode, of course, and it didn't start the ship, but it verified the ship. So, and it doesn't end it either. And it keeps waffling on for a little while longer. There's so many things that I love about this episode, and there are so many things I'm like, nah. So it's really just about certain storylines. The whole Zaytark thing, I could do without. I really am tired of Freya or Anise. I know Anise wasn't technically in this one. It was only Freya, but I was kind of happy we don't see them again. But no, I mean, for all the looks and the unspoken, now there's spoken feelings and then Jack Daniel little moments. I've seen this episode a whole lot of times. So
Nice.
I just skip over the Martouf dying thing because my girls, when they were younger, when they were teens and younger, they had a thing for Martouf. So this was they walked in when I was watching it and they were like, "Oh, this is the one where he dies."
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, darn it. That
Yeah.
guy's gone.
Yeah, that guy.
I always thought he was cringy, so I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Victor?
Yeah, I mean, this is the conclusion of like the 3-episode. Calling it a story arc would be too generous. Maybe it's like a story ray or like a story vector or something. It just kind of goes. And
A story plane.
a story plane, yeah, you need 3 points to define a plane, and this is as plain as it comes. In terms of Stargate. Yeah.
Set that one up for you.
Yeah. I mean, we do get to see over these 3 episodes, like the progression of Freya / Anise's like wardrobe, where it gets more and more
Awful.
Uncomfortable. Yeah.
But yeah, no. And then Martouf, who is like, he's like one of our like beloved characters or something. And then he's just like, I know they wanted to set it up as like this usual suspects, like big twist at the end or something, but it's just like, oh, I guess it's Martouf, and I guess he's just been shot. And then I don't know, maybe there's something poetic about Sam having to like kill her ex-husband or something. I don't know, but they don't really come back to it. Like there's no like 6 months of Sam being like, I can't believe I killed that guy or something. So I don't know. Does it ever come up? Like, I don't think the Zaytarks ever come up. Maybe they do like later on.
I don't
Apparently
remember.
they're mentioned.
No,
once.
but we do run into Lantash again. Martouf's Martouf's symbiote. We run into him in season 5?
Oh, really?
Mm.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So he makes a little reappearance.
You're like, dude, don't be such a Zaytark.
Yeah.
That's like the mention we get.
Yeah, this episode, and especially just these past 3 episodes, have just felt they've been a slog. Like you just got to get through them. There's not really a lot going on, and it almost feels like they recycled the same story 3 times. The Tok'ra come and take advantage of the SGC, and bad stuff happens, and then it gets solved, and some people are compromised, and some people are not, and then it's just done.
I just don't understand why we don't usually have like Tok'ra, 3 heavy Tok'ra episodes in a row like this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we skipped last time. Last week was Jaffa, but it's just odd to me that we haven't seen the Gould much at all this season. But we've gotten, we got started with replicators, and then we went real heavy on the Tok'ra, and it's just, I don't know. It feels we haven't done Planet of the Week yet this season.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it feels a little weird. Oh yeah, the one.
But yeah, I mean, they front loaded the Tok'ra. They could have spaced that out like every 6 episodes, give us another Tok'ra episode or something. But I
think
know.
it feels weird because it was smushed together.
Yeah, it just feels very much the same. Like you're not getting any adventures really, and I don't know if they were trying to make Freya an interesting or likable character, but she's just the worst. And I'm very glad we do not see her again.
She's just very like monotone.
Mhm.
Even when she's, coming on to Jack, you're like, that really, like, there's no, I don't know, up and down in her voice. It's just very.
She just raided Jennifer Lopez's wardrobe and then started hitting on Jack, I guess.
This is the part where I kiss you now, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it says a lot that he's so uncomfortable. He's all like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, I don't know if they had to do that to show that he might have feelings for Sam or something, and they kind of just wedged that in there. And she's like, I sense that you are not fully committed to whatever this is that is happening right now. Like, he's like, that's weird. Yeah, usually I would be, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a Zaytark.
Well, I like Daniel when Jack told her, the snake likes you for your brains. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a chance.
Yeah.
It's a weird love quadrangle. What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, so do the actual Goa'uld, do they have gender, or is it kind of like the Trill in Star Trek where they can be swapped either way? I don't know if they've ever mentioned that.
I think they did with the Selmac Jacob Carter thing. Didn't they say that they usually stay in the same gender, but they don't have a gender?
Mm-hmm.
And Apophis keeps referring to Amunet as his queen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the Goa'uld, I think maybe they assume gender. I don't know that they're gendered necessarily themselves, but I think that, as part of, they kind of like wear their gender like clothing, because they're in a human host or something.
Right.
And maybe they prefer certain gendered human hosts.
And maybe the ones who are specifically queens are the only ones with actual gender.
True, that makes sense.
Yeah, like Hathor or Blobby or whatever her name is that we meet later.
Osiris.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole Zaytark is basically, it's a Manchurian candidate designed by the Goa'uld, and you think that something like that would have come up a lot sooner, especially because they don't. Yeah, but it just seems like they bring it up and it's kind of dropped. So I think that's another thing that kind of turned me off by this episode, was that they raise a lot of important things like that, and then it's not going to go anywhere, and it hasn't come up before.
Right.
Especially because the Tok'ra don't seem to have an effective way to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if this was an attempt to make, I think, Jack, you'd mentioned that the Goa'uld just seems to be kind of not an effective villain.
Mm-hmm.
And, like the replicators are so much bigger, badder, and scarier. And I wondered if this was kind of a way to be like, oh yeah, they can still do things, like they can brainwash us and make people,
Right.
Yeah.
And in a way to point out, they haven't been dealing with the Goa'uld at all this season. And so we have to at least say, they're still out there. Don't forget the big bad guys over here. They're still out there.
And the ironic thing is that like the Zaytarks are way more violent and destructive than the Goa'uld ever could be. I mean, this is like a very violent, like not bloody. Well, I mean, there is blood in it, which is unusual for Stargate. But I mean, in the very first episode, like Major Graham, like blasts holes through like 4 guys, then blows himself up to the point where like, rocks are coming down from the top of the cavern. So there's like graham crumbs everywhere. And what cracked me up about that is like later on, Dr. Fraser's like, well, we examined and we couldn't find like any mental imprinting on his like brainwave functions or anything. Like, what brain were you studying at that point? I mean,
the brain they scraped off the ceiling.
Yeah. And then later on, Lieutenant Astor, which, first of all, female character, young and stuff. And then, she's suspected of being a Zaytark. And then she winds up like blowing her brains out with a handgun and stuff. And you're like, this is Stargate? Like this tonally seems very, very different. And then at the end, of course, Martouf gets like, Al Capone at the end with like riddled with bullets. And then like, so it just, I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah. I don't understand. They do this both with, Graham at the beginning, and then with the Asher, the other
Astor,
Astor, yeah, where like they're standing there and they're like very slowly putting the weapon up to their head, and everyone's just kind of standing there watching them. It's like, are you not Like when Aster shoots herself, Jack is just watching. It's like, you're not going to try to stop her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see where she's going with this.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Well, at least with Martouf, he shot him in the knee or something first.
Yeah.
Just like center mass, like blam, blam, blam.
Yeah, it was ineffective. And I do like, so later on, they talk about how, I know this is skipping ahead, but they talk about how they've checked everyone who would be a threat with their detector, except for Martouf. I'm like, oh, we forgot to do him.
And Freya.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but she didn't need to be checked.
Yeah.
She's good.
Sounds like something that Zaytark would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm starting to think that like maybe like I have a theory is Tok'ra for there is an ancient Jaffa legend. Like whenever they need to, it's like I have a theory that we can do that it's a Zaytark, it's like there's a Jaffa legend of a planet where that if any Jaffa visits it and doesn't walk backwards to the Stargate, they'll immediately be destroyed.
Yeah.
I do remember when I saw it originally, I was surprised that it was Martouf.
Yeah.
So that was kind of we hadn't seen him in a while, and I don't remember if I was upset that he was, upset for Sam, of course, but like, I don't remember as a character if I really missed him. But it was because he was kind of beloved, so at least by my girls.
Really?
My girls.
Yeah.
He was,
I
see that,
yeah. I was like, that
they
guy.
call him a fan favorite, but I don't know. We didn't have the internet.
I'll take people's word for it that he was a favorite.
Like there was no, I was just like, oh, he's gone. Okay, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't even really make it clear at the end when he gets shot that he's actually dead.
Mm-hmm.
Until they explicitly say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he gets double zapped, but it was each, Teal'c took one shot and Sam took the second.
Mm-hmm. And there was a long time between them.
Yep.
It would have been funny, like if Nareem came through the Stargate, the Tolan at that point said like, "Oh my God, Sam, what have you done?" And then Sam just like turns towards him and like doubles at him too. Like I don't know.
Put us out of our
That just
misery.
would have been like tonally like where this episode was for me.
But I have to. So they named this first guy that was the Zaytark. They named him Graham, right?
Yeah.
Well, last time we had a Graham, it was
that's right.
the other guy who was all like, "Oh, Sam Carter," remember? And I had to go back and look it up. Graham was his first name, and this guy Graham was his last name. So
it's not the same guy.
Not the same guy. But why would you do
that? Was
that?
this the episode of killing off all Sam's potential romantic partners? I mean,
yeah, it's just so blah, I guess would be the way I would describe this episode. It's nice that you finally see Jack and Sam admitting their feelings in a very awkward way, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't really know. It's even hard to like plot this out in like a 3-act plot structure for a show. It's just like, and then this happens, and then this happens, but there's no real urgency to the story.
Didn't have a multiple plot structure. It was pretty straightforward. I mean,
yeah,
I did like when Jack's undergoing the testing and Teal'c's right there and he goes kashink, activates the Zat, and Jack's like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh right. Yeah.
He's like, okay, if we need to, you're ready.
And we were like 15 or 20 minutes in the episode. I was like, where's Teal'c? And then all of a sudden Teal'c's like, I'm here too.
Yeah.
When they first start testing like the Lieutenant Aster, he's like, oh, here I am. I'm like, okay, like where were you on the planet? But
yeah, like I don't even remember him in this episode barely at all.
Yeah.
I remember him sitting next to Dr. Fraser, in the little booth, because I know y'all probably didn't notice, but they have the same eyeshadow.
Oh,
jeez.
That saves some money there.
Yeah, they both were wearing the smoky eye, and I was like, oh.
Maybe they were doing their makeup in the bathroom together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say the first time I watched this one, I did have to, we got to the point where they're kind of reliving their moment, with the feelings and stuff. I remember thinking, did we see this? In Upgrades.
No, we didn't.
2 episodes ago. But I remember I had to, it really drove me crazy because this was before I had them on DVD or whatever. And then you have no way to go back. I might have had it on my DVR or VHS or I don't know what
I was
existed.
gonna say this is pre-DVR, I think.
I can't remember. This might have been a VHS time.
Yeah.
This Xanarc detector, I mean, they bill it up as like so inhumane. And the most inhumane thing about it is that it shows clips from previous episodes. But then they show a clip of Daniel getting the Naquita, which we didn't see before. And like the Jaffa comes in and says, "Hey, you, what are you doing with our Naquita?" And Daniel's just like, "Wing," and like looks him
I
at him.
thought
and
we
he's,
saw
like,
that
flies.
though. I thought we did see that part.
No, we saw him with
we
the...
saw Daniel like trotting off after.
Oh,
it.
that's right. That's right. Yeah.
But I did think I liked that. So it wasn't just clips; they were new.
Yep.
But that in the age of you couldn't go back and watch it easily, it was hard because you're like, did I just miss this? Was I watching that episode?
And I wonder, just looking at, because Martin Wood directed all 3 of these early Tok'ra episodes, and I wonder if they just filmed them in one big block, because you got those same scenes. It's basically using all the same sets. So I wonder if they just filmed them all at once.
Most likely.
Well, and Carter's hair is going to get cut in a couple of episodes, so you know at least these were all filmed. You can tell which episodes were filmed the second kind of chunk and the first chunk because of her
hair.
Her locks are going to get cut off.
So Star Trek's got Riker's beard. Stargate has Sam's hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and Teal'c's little soul patch thing.
Soul patch,
I forget when that disappears, but it's coming up soon too.
Yeah, nice. He's gonna.
I think in episode 10
take
they
it off.
all get haircuts.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta say, I don't think her hair is military regulation at this point.
Dude, it drives me crazy. I want to brush it.
Yeah, it's going for the natural look. You know, she just woke up and looks that way right out of bed. You know, just shakes her head and good to go. You know,
that's what I do every day. So
yeah,
Me too.
I do when I have my haircut, which I need to do again.
yeah, it's I'm very glad that we're moving past this. I'm glad we don't see Anise and Freya anymore, because I wonder. So I don't know, how these are, like, when they do like tests for these kind of things, like with test audiences and stuff. But I wonder if they had some indication that this character wasn't working out, because it seems odd to introduce like her interest in Jack and all that, and have her be so heavily featured and then just never show up again.
Yeah.
Stargate fans were very vocal about what was happening with their characters and stuff. So I definitely think that they would have had some indication, whether or not it was early enough if they had planned to bring her back in the 4th season or not. I don't know. It's weird in this episode too, that like we've been talking to Anise for 2 episodes, and now we don't, I think, hear Anise at all. It's all Freya all the time. And I don't know. And same with Martouf as well. We don't hear any of the Tok'ra Gould. We only hear the hosts, I think, in this episode, which is like completely different from the previous. So maybe they're like, dial back the like snake. We got to let them hear the host here, otherwise we're gonna lose them.
The only Gould we hear the only Tok'ra we hear is the High Chancellor or whatever his title was, the big guy. He was speaking in the
Persis.
He was speaking in the Gould voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most important Tok'ra there is, Persis, and we never see him again.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we've never heard of him before, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my favorite part of the episode was the dudes who came through at the beginning. They have like the kilts on with the knee-high like sock boot things, but they're clearly they're wearing shorts, it looks like.
I guess I missed
just a bad
that.
look. Don't know what they were going for with the Tok'ra wardrobe design, but it's
that's a question every time the
90s
Tok'ra
sci-fi.
shows up.
Mhm.
That's every time the Tok'ra shows up, we kind of wonder what they're going with.
Yeah. This was I read an interview and it said that it wasn't anything to do with the actress, why we don't see Anise Freya anymore. It really was them struggling to find a real meaningful purpose for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wondered if that was code for didn't go over well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the purpose was that outfit she was wearing this episode. But,
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that was her purpose, was
Well,
like we
it's-
said, to
yeah.
try to up
That's-
the sex appeal of the show without making Carter wear stuff.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I've liked about Stargate, is that they haven't really done that
Much.
Mhm.
They've done some.
Not very, like there's a little bit, but it's not like with Voyager where you have Seven of Nine wearing her ridiculous outfit. And it's like, this is borderline, like, how did they even get this on TV? And so I'm glad that Stargate really hasn't done a lot of that.
No, just every once in a while with the priestesses or the Hathor, or, some of the, I think we're going to have Neartine a little bit.
They just, they get a good looking, guest star that they can show off and see them for an episode 2, and that's it. Okay, we're good.
And I'm glad that now we're past emancipation. We don't make Carter dress up anymore.
Yeah.
And they never actually show them doing the Loma Chen.
You were waiting, weren't you?
Oh, yes. Always waiting for the Loma Chen.
We need to bring back some of those covers. You could do a Feel Like Loma Chen instead of Feel Like Loma Chen. There we go. Yep.
The German title for this one was different.
Oh, yes.
Not very original.
No.
It was called Summit.
Summit.
The
summit of this story, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They were having a summit. Yeah.
I was gonna say if this is the summit of the story, that means it jumped off a cliff.
Yeah.
I think they mean the opposite of a summit.
Yeah.
There are some nice moments in this though. When Lisa, you mentioned when Jack and Daniel are bonding, and when Jack basically is, basically death row there, and he's just playing with the yo-yo, fiddling about. They're talking about Freya and stuff, and and Daniel goes like, "Yep, these are the Jack O'Neill moments I'll miss the most." And Jack goes, "What?" And Daniel goes, "What?"
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
Total guy moment.
Yeah.
You almost wonder how much of that is kind of ad-libbed between them, because how do you script that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have really good chemistry, and I like even in these bad episodes, you still get good little moments like that.
Yeah.
So we do have Jack and Sam are presumed to be Zatarks because they took that eye scanny Blade Runner test, and it basically like it can detect your false thoughts only if you exactly recount a story, which to me is like, first of all, that's like not how memory actually works. Like when you tell a story multiple times, you're going to tell it in different orders just because that's how your brain recall works. So that
but you're retelling the last time you retold it. Basically, you're not retelling the original memory, is what they say, right? So
right, yeah. So that doesn't really make any sense. And also, the whole twist that this hinges upon is because if they hold something back, that would like indicate that they had a false memory, which that doesn't make any sense either. And the thing they're holding back is that Jack did not want to let her die, and he had feelings for her, and vice versa. And just that whole, it's meant to set up like a plot twist at the end that doesn't really hold up, because it's like once they figure it out, it's done, and then they know it's Martouf, and there was no tension there.
Yeah, this never leaves this room.
Yeah,
I like you.
I'm like, did you swear Teal'c and Janet to secrecy there? Like,
and the other guy,
and then you notice Freya's standing there, right? After she just,
and she's totally Maury Povich too. She's like, "Congratulations, you are not the Zatark."
Yeah.
Like she literally says, "You are not the Zatark." At the end, it's like, it's like, "Thanks, Maury."
Yeah.
You think they would have had her be like, "Oh darn, that's what it was." Like, that's why he didn't want to.
Yeah, exactly.
No Loma Chen for Freya tonight.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I do think the buildup of how they're Zatarks, and then now what? Like, we just have to live our lives in a holding cell or, guest quarters or whatever they call it. And you think about that, like, what would you do? And what are your choices?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of crazy to think about it. If you were that, what risks do you take and what path do you take? And of course, then Jack's like, I'll sacrifice myself, which is in line with his character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That part was nice. It's like, I'll submit to the lobotomy machine that turns your head into a skull because it might save Carter.
Mm-hmm.
And they did say, I mean, that it was going to be like 2 days, because after the summit was over, if the Zaytark didn't fulfill his or her mission, then they'd kill themselves anyways. So,
but they don't ever explain, like, so what if you just put them under restraints? Like, does it wear off, or do you just like go insane? Like, they don't follow through on what happens if the Zaytark's mission passes and they aren't able to kill themselves.
But do you think they also kind of got super strength? Because if you, Lieutenant Astor, I think she was a lieutenant, she breaks out of her restraints and starts knocking people about the room. And
yeah,
the show should have been about her. It should have been called Stargate Astor, in my opinion. No, but
you were smitten,
it's
huh?
like, and anybody could be a Zaytark now, right? So if you're like off world and you're like, excuse me, I have to use the bathroom in those trees over there, and you come back like 3 minutes later, they're like, Zaytark, you're a Zaytark. I didn't see you for 3 minutes.
Yeah,
and that would have been a more interesting direction to go with this, kind of play into the whole paranoia that you would get from this kind of situation.
Yeah.
And they don't do anything with that.
The monsters are out on Zaytark Street or whatever that Twilight Zone episode was.
Yeah, exactly.
But you think about how many, again, we could add up how many times SG-1 or the SGC or SG teams have been compromised now by aliens, viruses, things. I mean, whatever, right? How many times are they? I mean, they're just constantly bringing stuff back through the gate.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about that earlier. It's like, a couple of seasons ago, how many different things did they have to do every time they come back through the gate? They had to play this particular tone because it drove that alien crazy, and they had to use the invisible Ritu gun and, all these other things. And it's just like, get blood screen and make sure they don't have, this certain antibody or this certain, it's like, okay, so what are they actually doing? Does it take like 3 hours after they leave the gate before they can, leave sick bay?
And then would they ever, every time someone came through the gate, you would think they'd have to shut down the whole mountain.
Yeah.
Right? To make, everyone turn on the self-destruct, shut down the mountain, like check everybody out. Okay, we're in the clear.
Yep. Lock the path only between the Stargate and sick bay, and that's it. That's the only way you can go. Nowhere else.
Though we do see General Hammond in this episode, like finally like showing that he's had enough of it. Like, in the previous episode, he's like, I'll let you wear these armbands if they're safe. We kind of need it. Okay, put you on. And by this episode, he's like, oh, they want to meet with the president. Huh? I'll get him the president. And it's just like a body double. He's like, I'm not bringing the real president down here. You think I'm crazy?
Yeah.
There's this Tok'ra down here.
I also like the mini little hand weapon that they all seem to have. Where did Graham get his?
You don't want to know.
Well, and Martouf didn't realize, like, oh, Graham had this thing. And like, oh, look, I have one. Where did I get that?
How did I end up with one? Yeah, what a shock. I just happen to have one sitting in my pocket here. Huh? Where'd that come from?
They also...
those are my keys.
Yeah. They didn't do anything with, like... So I understand, like, the gold placing the false memories in someone who is just a human, but if you're a Tok'ra, that means you also have the gold consciousness. Like, could they not assume control at that point?
That part
like,
made no sense.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
There's two brains. A Tok'ra has two brains, so you'd have to imprint on both brains, and both brains have different sets of memories. So basically, the two brains would say, "Well, your memories look different than the last time I accessed them, right? What's going on here?"
Yeah. It's not a well thought out plot device.
No. But then Freya's like, oh, we've had a few of these Zaytark people go crazy and kill everybody. It's fine. It just happens. We didn't mention that to you? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point they just need to stop working with the Tok'ra altogether.
Yeah. Unless it's Jacob Carter.
Yep.
But even him, I almost feel like he's being held hostage at this point. Like, is he okay with all this stuff?
I'm trying to remember when we see him again. It's
a while.
It's a while.
We know he's okay because Anise said that he's okay with it, and that we can take her word for it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I kind of feel like should be explored more. And I don't know if I presume they probably do this, at least in some capacity, is the connection between the host and the gold symbiont, and how it's not like like the Trill in Star Trek, where it's kind of like a melding of personalities. It's like a binary thing. It's like either the host is in control or the gold is in control.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like psychologically as a human, that would be extremely disturbing and weird. And I don't feel like I don't see how a host could go through that and really not be a little bit insane. And so maybe that explains the Tok'ra's attitudes too.
Yeah. I don't know. On the other hand, if I knew that like on Tuesdays, for example, I didn't have to think about like anything or what I was doing. I just had to kind of just like chill out for the entire day. And like this other guy would just take control and like feed me and do all this other stuff. I think that'd be pretty cool. Like if you knew like what days and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Tuesdays are my day off as being like a human being. I can just like relax and just like cruise. It's just like I'm just watching a movie all day.
Oh, hey, this benevolent being is going to take control of my body and, go to the meeting that I really don't want to go to. So, yeah, I'm going to be there, but I can be sitting thinking about video games and Stargate. And this benevolent being can, slaughter everyone with their arguments, and argue so much better than I can. Hey, that sounds like great to me. I mean, that sounds like a great plan.
As long as they remember to feed me, I mean.
Yeah, as long as they don't starve. Of course, they don't want to starve, so.
I'm a control freak. It would not work for me.
Yeah, it would be terrifying. I would hate that.
Just want a day off. Like, not too much to ask. Like,
you'd still be tired because your body would still be working, So, I mean, it's not like you'd be, laying in a recliner somewhere all day while, this other being is off working. So,
I guess the pro side would be that as you age, when we start feeling bad, I'm just speaking for myself here, we wouldn't have that anymore because the symbiote would make you have all kinds of awesome youthfulness, and
that's true.
That might be a trade-off.
Like if I don't load the string into the weed whacker the right way and it like cuts up my legs, like, hey, take care of it, heal me up. Yep.
Or you just let the gold do the artwork.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. Just like.
Now, could you do like half control? Like, one arm is doing the weed whack, the other arm's got the beer.
A lot of unexplored potential for a slapstick comedy. You get someone who's half on, half off all the time.
Yeah.
It's like the Real Odd Couple.
The implantation of the symbiote didn't go completely. He only has control of half of the host body.
Yeah. And the Tok'ra's a neat freak and the human's a slob, and they have to figure out how they're going to live together.
The guy walks in like with a shirt,
like
a shirt, over one shoulder, over one arm, the other side just hanging there,
Like he's half shaved on like down the side.
Hey,
arguing with himself.
Y'all are giving ideas for the new Stargate franchise, right?
Listening.
It sounds like 100 times better than the episode we just watched. So
yes,
I'm down for that.
It's still a good episode. The core.
Yeah.
I'm Froyo the Tok'ra.
We can get rid of Anise, Freya, like Graham and Martouf, and just keep the whole, Sam and Jack.
Jack and Sam was the best part of the episode.
That was the best part. That's the only reason to watch this episode.
I'm trying to think what I think the best part was just General Hammond being like, you know what, forget it. I'm just sending like a decoy to the something.
I'm done.
I'm done. Blow up the decoy. I don't care.
Yeah, I wonder how that guy feels. He's like, I'm cannon fodder.
Yeah.
He's probably Secret Service. This is what he does, right?
Hey, I was going to say, if you believe, some of the conspiracy theories, that actually does happen, that they have, sometimes you'll think, oh, that's the president speaking up there. No, it's really not.
Yeah.
My biggest...
it's a body double.
Well, my biggest qualm to that would be, and I might need to cut this just because it's too political. If that's the truth, then they're not doing a good job.
That's true. That's true.
Their deep fakes aren't deep enough. Oh, another thing
on
I
that note.
Yep.
I got a big kick out of is when the Tok'ra delegation comes through the Stargate, they have a table of light refreshments set up in the SGC because, they have all the fancy curtains up. But there's actually someone over there like getting snacks off the table as the Tok'ra delegation comes through the Stargate, which I thought was pretty. That was pretty
as it should
be.
He thought it was catering. He didn't realize he was in the shot.
Yeah.
No, it's actually like a dignitary. It's actually someone in dress uniform, like just eating.
Nice.
Just eating off the table.
The person's listed in the credits as person getting snacks.
Oh, was it really?
No, I'm sorry.
No.
Oh, no.
Well, if it was somebody that was in military uniform, not just like a business suit or whatever, that's exactly how it would go. Oh, they're here. Who cares? Free food. And not chow hall food.
Who's
Where's
that?
the
I don't
open
know.
bar? Yeah.
Some aliens.
Yeah.
Some aliens here to do a thing. Who knows?
I do like
Okay.
how they have the red carpet coming out of the Stargate.
Yep.
That was a nice touch.
So season 6? I'm trying to look ahead. When do we get Dr. Weir? 6?
Yeah,
End of
it's 6,
season
'cause it's
7,
before-
right?
7?
Well, I think 6 is when we see her the first time.
Blonde Weir.
The blonde Weir.
Yep.
Right. Blonde
And then
Weir.
7 is where the Weir that goes on to Atlantis.
Okay. So
comes in.
when Daniel Jackson meets the blonde Weir, whenever that is, he references, he tells her that we used your work to do our treaty in this episode.
Oh.
So this
and
was
that
the treaty he was referring to in that episode with blonde Weir.
So
Yeah.
So for Jack's confusion, they had 2 actresses play this character who went on to be the head
Yeah.
of Stargate Atlantis,
Yeah.
Elizabeth Weir.
And it was end of season 7.
7. Okay.
But no, and I did like this too, is that, the Tok'ra have said, like, we are going to have equality for humans and Tok'ra alike. And Daniel Jackson's like, no, the president wants to say, like, we're going to have, freedom for all individuals. And the Tok'ra, like, that's not precise enough.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that meme of like someone like giving the Bill of Rights to the founding fathers and say, no, write it like a 5-year-old could understand it, right? You have to be very precise.
But think about it. As soon as he said that, you knew they were going to object because freedom for all individuals. Well, they're 2 people in one body.
Yeah.
So they're not individuals. You can't use that term to describe them. So the moment Daniel says that, I'm like, no,
Not going to happen.
not going to happen. But they're like, we don't like to generalize.
Yeah, I guess the biggest thing I can say about these Tok'ra, or the best thing I can say about these Tok'ra episodes, is that it gives you a lot to think about in terms of like agency between the Goa'uld and the host. And I really wish they would dig more into the psychology of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of interesting things they could do there.
Yeah, they do kind of, I wouldn't say whitewash the Tok'ra, but they do kind of whitewash the Tok'ra, a little bit. It's like, oh, they're allies, they're pretty good folks and stuff. But yeah, I mean, the fact that like Freya and Martouf are only the hosts speaking this time, whereas, in previous episodes, it's almost exclusively the Goa'uld inside of them, or the Tok'ra inside of them, and they don't really explain why that is unless they, it's part of their charm offensive.
Well, if you think about it, for the next however many seasons we have Tok'ra, Jack is very much always kind of, I don't trust him. I mean, anti-Tok'ra, I don't trust them, except for Jacob. He kind of gives him a little leeway. But for the rest, but he is very adamant about not trusting them from here on out, which I'm thinking he has good reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we got that episode with Skara wanting to be freed from being a host.
Mm-hmm.
But I assume we don't ever see something like that where you have a Tok'ra host who wants to be free. And like if the Tok'ra are supposedly good,
Nope.
how would they handle that situation?
Nope.
Because I'm sure that's got to come up at some point. Like there's gonna be someone who's like, no, I didn't know what I was signing up for. I want out of this.
No, Jack. They were willing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
Like
Now, see,
like
that'd
Tannis
be a
host.
Space Court
Yeah.
episode you'd want to see, right?
Yeah.
Space
That's
Court.
that'd be a much more interesting way to deal with that. It's like, yeah, these people are supposedly good, but when their interests are attacked, how do they handle it?
Yeah. They do not give full disclosure. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, after seeing how they've just treated humans in general, pretty sure we know how they'd handle it. Nice. Yeah, overall, just a pretty meh episode, at least in my opinion. Did you have any other thoughts on it?
I did kind of laugh at they whoever does the the furniture and everything for the sets, they did it perfectly because that bed and that blanket looked identical to the one that we had at basic training. I mean, it's just like
nice.
they probably went and got the actual bed for all I know. No, it's the good old military issue metal metal frame with the springs and the wool blanket that is very uncomfortable. Doesn't matter what the weather is or the temperature is like, yeah, it was, they did that right. That definitely looked like something, military barracks type room. So I can give them credit for that for this episode.
Probably just went down to the military surplus store and
exactly
pick up all that kind of stuff. We had a lot of that when I was in Boy Scouts. We had all the super itchy blankets and cots. Got that military equipment smell.
Yeah. Those blankets are great for if you need an emergency blanket in your car for some reason, something to just keep in the trunk. Those are great for that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a fan of how they walk the line with the whole ship thing. And I'm going to talk about ship one more time, but I'm happy with it because they're very adamant about they're in the military and they can't, fraternize or whatever you call it. So, but it's like they're giving little nuggets over here to these fans. They're giving little nugget, then they kind of drop. Mike, they drop it for a little while. So I like it. I think it's great because it doesn't turn into a soap opera. It's not a Hallmark show. But they really focus on, they focus on relationships, but they manage to do it without completely crossing a line until like season 8 when they're just like throw everything out with they just chuck it all. But at least for these middle seasons. So, and we had SG-15.
Oh yeah,
first time.
Yeah, isn't that the highest one we've seen so far? I think.
Yes,
I think so.
Yep. Definitely. Yeah, nothing from me unless you wanted to speculate about why Freya's underwear needed buckles.
It sounds like that's a good place to stop there, Jack.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I wasn't gonna mention that, but thank you for going there, Victor.
Oh no problem.
I wonder.
That's what I do.
Did the wardrobe person? Maybe they were going for some award, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they won a Saturn award for
the
raspberries or
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely knew that outfit was from the early 2000s.
Yeah. Maybe they were hoping to be like the Princess Leia. What?
I don't know.
Metal, yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think. What is that? Return of the Jedi. Remember?
Yeah.
Just iconic. Like this was going to be iconic.
And it wasn't even vinyl. It was like her outfit was made out of like Naga hide or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what is going on?
Just looked very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Worst dressed Tok'ra.
She is, but we don't see her anymore.
Yeah.
But we love you, Anise. Come on back anytime.
No,
we're good.
Oh,
never come back, please.
Anise or Freya or either.
Yeah. On that note, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Stargate, including Maria D, Jacob H, Laura C, Jody S, and Sonia C. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the other shows at StarQuest. You can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give and be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or on the SQPN YouTube channel. Please, if you remember to do this, please go and leave us a review. Give us a thumbs up there because that really helps out the channel. To find previous episodes of Secrets of Stargate and to send feedback, please visit sqpn.com/Stargate. You can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow the show on follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And be sure to join us over at our Discord at sqpn.com/Discord. And we'll be back next time when we'll be discussing the next episode of SG-1, the fan favorite Window of Opportunity. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secrets of Stargate.
Thank you, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack. And do we or do we not have a Xanax detector?
Pretty sure we do. And once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to The Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?
StarQuest wants to hear from you. We're conducting a survey of our audience. That's you, to help us in our planning for the future. Please take a moment and visit sqpn.com/survey. We'll be selecting 2 participants to receive an Amazon gift card as an expression of our thanks. So visit sqpn.com/survey today.